and many of you out there reacting and sort of grieving with us as we start off the Monday morning of this week. And so we put together a collection of clips of people reacting to Kobe Bryant, and we begin with this clip. What does Kobe think about death? He was actually asked about this, and here's what he had to say.
We are sitting on top of a Mesoamerican muralist painting of a clock.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, because I feel like the setting is begging for it, what's your relationship with death?
A comfortable one.
Yeah?
It's a comfortable one. It's an understanding. You can't have life without death, can't have light without the dark, right? So it's an acceptance of that. When it came time to decide whether or not I should retire, that's really an acceptance of that mortality that all athletes face, right? And if you combat it, you'll have always that inner struggle within yourself, you know what I mean? And so I'm comfortable with it.
I have to ask this because I'm dying to know. What do you think happens after you die?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't know, but I'll know when I die.
It's not a question that
you know what I mean? Like it's really, to me, it's that simple.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
Just see when you get there.
Kobe was asked about his daughter Gianna and whether she might want to play in the WNBA one day when he was on with Jimmy Kimmel, and he had this to say.
Do you think your daughter might want to play in the WNBA?
She does for sure.
She does?
I mean, this kid, man.
Wouldn't that be great?
Dude, man, I'm telling you. The best thing that happens is when we go out and fans will come up to me and she'll be standing next to me and they'll be like, hey, you got to have a boy. You and V got to have a boy, man. You have somebody carry on the tradition, the legacy. She's like, oh, yeah, I got this. You know, boy, for that, I got this. Like, that's right. Yes, you do. You got this.
That's Kobe Bryant on Jimmy Kimmel. Lots of people in the world of sports and beyond reacting to the tragedy. Doc Rivers, in particular, breaking down the head coach of the LA Clippers, discussing his thoughts on Kobe Bryant's untimely demise here.
I don't know. I just don't have a lot to say. The news is just devastating to everybody who knew him, known him a long time. And, he means a lot to me, obviously. He was such a great opponent, It's what you want in sports. He had that DNA that very few athletes can ever have, the Tiger Woods and the Michael Jordans. Looking at my young players and seeing how emotional they are. They didn't even know him, and it just tells you how far his reach was. So, this is just shocking news for all of us. And sorry, I don't have a lot to say. I just can't. I have to go talk to a team before a game and tell them to play again.
That is Doc Rivers, the LA Clippers head coach. So, Dub, let's roll through and let everybody react to Kobe Bryant's life and legacy. Where should we start?
All right, let's start with Jose in Fremont.
Jose, what's up, man?
What's up, fellas? Hey, Clay, I think you hit it on the head, man. I've had that same fear having two boys, which are now 18 and 20 years old. That was always in the back of my head when they were younger, man, hoping to survive them into adulthood. And then, you know what? I mean, growing up as a seeing Jordan, I never thought there'd be another person that would make an impact like Jordan. And to see Kobe, it's like the impact he made, man. I've seen iconic people in my lifetime past that touched me. Al Davis, Tupac, Eazy-E. But the level that Kobe, I'm not even a Kobe fan, man, but it's like it's deep, man. And I just want to tell everybody, hug your children. If your wife and you are beefing, let it go. Make amends with whoever you have beef with, because you never know when your last day is going to be, man. Your last breath. Just enjoy life and squash all the beef.
Thanks for the call. I think, that is oftentimes well said. And I think when moments of tragedy hit, you recognize how small many of the things that, and trivial, many of the things that we become obsessed with on a day-to-day basis truly are. That's why I always say, like, finish your phone calls with your kids and with your loved ones by always saying I love you at the end of the call. Because the truth of the matter is we don't know when that last call that we're ever going to have with our loved ones is going to be. And I would always like for my final 3 words to be heard, if it's the last time that I ever talk to somebody, to be I love you. Your dad, your mom, your grandparents, your kids, aunts, uncles, whoever it may be that's significant in your life, friends. I think that is one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten, and one that I've adopted in my life, because sudden tragedy happens all the time. And whether you are particularly impacted by Kobe Bryant or not, there probably has been a moment of sudden tragedy in your life, and there probably will be more, because that is the unfortunately the downside of how we know all of our lives are ultimately going to end. We don't know when it is going to happen, but so far as I know, no one has managed to become immortal. And so with birth comes death, and it's going to be sudden and tragic very often times that we're all going to have to deal with. And so I think that's well said by Jose, but I would say the same thing to you. Ending every single phone call with people that you love by saying I love you is I think it's something that I do in my life, because you just never know when the last time's going to be. Who's up next?
We got Chris in Indiana.
Chris, what's shaking?
Hey, Clay. I've always been a Jordan guy. I always will be. But I knew Kobe, he wanted to be like Mike. He modeled his game after Mike. So for me, when Jordan retired, it was more of, oh, hey, here's this guy who's close enough to Michael Jordan and whose skills are almost like Michael Jordan that, hey, maybe this could extend the career a little bit. But I was never really a Kobe fan, because my rooting interest is the Pacers, but at the same time, I respected how great of a basketball player he was. I think he's the second greatest of all time, and I don't think anybody's going to ever come close to Kobe or even Jordan.
Thanks for the call. Who's up next?
We got Antonio in Oakland.
Antonio, fire away, my man.
Hey, Clay, man, being up here in Northern California, it felt like this was half a Laker country. And sometimes when the Lakers got us through the dark days of when the Warriors were horrible,
Yeah.
and the Lakers would come in, Kobe would come in, and two quick images of Warriors were up by like 15. Kobe brings the teams back, there's a free throw, comes over the top of the key, comes and dunks it. And, of course, when he tears his Achilles, still goes out, shoots the free throw. And then yesterday when I heard the 24-second, when they did that before the game,
Yeah.
It brought me a little bit to tears, man. It was really deep. But rest in peace, Kobe.
Thanks for the call. I think you could definitely see that for most players in the NBA, Kobe was the guy they grew up watching. Jordan might have been the myth, the legend that their parents may have been watching, but the younger guys, Kobe was the guy that they connect to. Now, some of the super younger ones, it's even LeBron, because he's been around for so long. And the LeBron and Kobe connection, with LeBron just passing him in total points, and then having this basically happen the next day. Who's up next, Dub?
We got Michael in Oregon.
Michael, thanks for the call.
Hey, so I was driving to the Portland Trailblazers Indiana game when I heard about Kobe's passing, and I was so absolutely shocked by it. And when I got to the game, they were like right before it started, they did the whole celebration for him, and did the whole 24-second silence, and I was absolutely just appreciative of this situation. I've never been much of a Kobe fan, but I was just so appreciated by what the NBA did for him today, and I thought it was absolutely great.
Thanks for the call. I agree. I think the NBA handled this well. I mean, there's no easy way to respond to tragedy. There were early talk, we should cancel the games. I personally think that would have been the wrong move. I think Kobe himself would have said, Kobe works, he is a guy who was committed to his craft. I think that he would say the best way to honor him was to play the games, even on a day of great tragedy, that he would have wanted those games to take place. And I'm sure that went all the way to Adam Silver to make that decision. It's also a tough precedent to set, because how do you determine what a level of tragedy is in order to not play games? I think, if I'm not mistaken, 9/11 is basically the only time I can remember in recent history where we basically shut down a lot of games. And I think the NBA got it right. I really do. And I think the best way to honor Kobe is by doing what he loved, playing basketball. Who's up next, Dub?
We got Jared in California.
Jared, thanks for calling, man.
Hey, I'd like to start off and say my condolences to those who are affected with the tragedy. I'd like to say that, Kobe Bryant was an inspiration to me. Growing up as I'm 33 now, he's 41 now, he's passed. Going through that three-peat LA ceremonial, the championship, I mean, I've never been there in a crowd among thousands watching it live. Kobe Bryant hosting that trophy up there is, remarkable. I also like to say that he transcended more with basketball because he brought all races, no matter what ethnicity he brought around the world. To me, was like remarkable in that sense.
Thanks for the call.
More than basketball.
Yeah, thanks for the call. It's a little bit difficult for some of us to understand, but I think you're right. The great thing about sports in general, and this has been my pitch since I started doing this program, but before I started doing this program, is in a time of great national disunity, sports is the ultimate connector, in my opinion. It brings together people of all different backgrounds, all different political opinions, all different racial and socioeconomic groups. When you're in a stadium or arena and your team wins, you don't think about the politics or the belief system of anybody else around you while you're high-fiving. And I think in times of national discord, sports are even more important for their ability to bring us all together and make us recognize that many times our common humanity and how much really, even though we may disagree on many things, how much more we actually have in common than we do in discord. Who's up next?
We got Derek in Manhattan Beach.
Derek, thanks for the call, man. What you got for us?
Up? Yeah, what's up? Bumped into Kobe a couple of times. Always great, pleasant interactions. I think to me he's the most beloved athlete in the history of LA sports, even above Magic, and he transcended sports. He was a global icon, so it's lost too soon, but I think they're going to honor him continuously, and I can't wait to get that statue outside of the Staples Center, which should be well-deserved.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I don't think there's any doubt that is going to continue to be. Again, I think Doug Gottlieb said that well in hour one, that Kobe Bryant in death becomes even more of an icon than he was in life. And for the city of Los Angeles, he is now the transcendent figure of his era, certainly, and maybe the transcendent era of multiple generations. Let's take a couple more of your calls, and I'll bring in the crew, too. Who else, Dub?
We've got Susan in Florida.
Susan, thanks for calling.
Yes, what I wanted to say was when something like this happens, and I was reflecting back on what was being said, preparation for the Super Bowl and the playoffs before that, where you hear, well, I hate the Clippers, or I hate the Chiefs, or I hate the sports San Francisco 49ers. We shouldn't be hating anybody. And something like this reminds me, at least, of not hating.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Look, I think people. I think people use the term hate, like in the world of sports, not in a true hate, right? Like when you say, "Oh, I hate whoever the rival is," or whatever, like that is a very often hyperbolic sense of hate. But I do think that in moments of tragedy, that what ultimately ends up triumphing is love. And that's because love is such a powerful emotion. We had a caller earlier who said, and I would echo it, always end every call with "I love you" with the people that you care about the most. And I think it's really spectacular advice, because for moments like these, when you truly never know when it's going to be the last time you have an opportunity to talk with a loved one. Dub, what else?
All right, last one for now. We got Mike in Cincinnati.
Mike, what you got for us?
I'm 44 years old, and I remember back in '96 when Kobe started his coming out of high school. A part of me felt like like I grew up with him spiritually, and watching him throughout his career. And coming from a Michael Jordan fan, hearing this sad news, I feel like it's an end of an era. And being a father myself, it hits me a lot, And I was never a Kobe fan, but I always appreciate his competitiveness and the way he presented himself. And, like Michael Jordan. And for him to go like this, it hurts me and my family a lot. And I can relate to, I can only imagine what like going through in the families and stuff. And then a shout out to Kobe Bryant, nothing but love, and it's painful.
I just want to say this as we leave today, and we've spent the entire program talking about Kobe Bryant, his life and legacy. I encourage you to go grab the podcast if you missed any of the show and you want to hear our discussion. Thanks to Petros Papadakis and Doug Gottlieb, who both came on and shared Kobe Bryant's stories and reminiscences about his impact in the larger Los Angeles community as well as the nation and the world. When tragedy strikes, I think many people immediately are overcome by grief, and that is natural and normal. But I always think that we can learn from tragedy, and what I would encourage all of you to do today is to make sure that you spend a little bit more time hugging your loved ones, telling them how much they mean to you. And I said earlier in the program that one of the lessons that I have learned when you deal with tragedy is I always end every phone call with people that I love by saying that I love them. And it's a simple thing, and it's not complicated, and it's not difficult to do. In fact, every single one of you out there can do it just as easily as I can. And the reason why I do it is because of situations like what just happened with Kobe Bryant, because no matter who you are, no matter how successful you are, no matter how things may be going good or bad in your life, none of us know when everything is going to end or everything is going to change for us permanently and forever. So when you have the opportunity to tell the people in your lives that matter a great deal to you and that you love them as much as you can, why not do it every time you hang up with them on the phone? Because you don't ever know when the last time that you're going to be able to talk to that person is. So to the extent that you can take any lessons from tragedy at all of us, regardless of our lot in life, will have moments such as what just happened to Kobe Bryant's family and the other families that were involved in that helicopter crash, where everything seems to be going great, and then suddenly we are confronted with one of the worst moments or the worst moment of our life. And you can't ever stop situations like this from happening, but you can, in the back of your mind, be conscious of the fact that they can occur and let the people in your life know how much you love them and how much they mean to you every single time you can. Every time you hang up the phone, it's something simple. If you didn't learn anything else from this show ever, I think those 3 words can make a big difference. I love you. Even when you're fighting with your kids, even when you're fighting with your spouses, everything else, most of the time that's going to be transitory. Being able to say I love you and knowing that that was the final thing that your loved one heard from you on a phone call, it matters in the end a great deal. And so many people grieving today, Kobe Bryant, his family, all the families that were lost in that horrible helicopter crash. Appreciate all of you for spending your Monday morning with us. We'll be back all week long live from Radio Row down in Miami. I am Clay Travis. This is OUTKICK the Coverage. Prayers up to all impacted. But again, my suggestion, my hope for you, say I love you today to the people that you love. This is OUTKICK on Fox Sports Radio.